Okay, well, it's so wonderful to be here. Rakefet, if you could give us a quick introduction, that'd be wonderful.
Thank you for having me. I'm Rakefet Russak-Aminoach. First of all, I'm Israeli,
Yeah.
and I'm ex-banker. So if I have to describe my career, I started in accounting. I was the head of the CEO of KPMG in Israel many years ago. Then became a banker, moved to Bank Leumi. At Leumi, the first half of my career was chief credit officer. I was lucky or not really lucky, you can tell. In 2008, I was the chief credit officer. So this was a big job, not really not really fun. And then in 2012, I became the CEO of the bank. Bank Leumi was back then #2 bank in Israel, and we made it #1 bank via digital transformation. While leading the digital transformation, actually I fell in love with technology. Suddenly understand what you could achieve with technology, which is amazing. I built a new bank within the bank called Pepper. And then I stepped down when the bank became the largest company in Israel market cap-wise, and decided to pursue my passion to fintech and technology, and built a Team8 Fintech with the Team8 group.
That's amazing. Can you tell us a little bit more about Team8?
Sure. So Team8 is a very unique venture group. We operate out of Tel Aviv and New York. They started 10 years ago, just exactly 10 years ago, in cyber. And they were 3 founders who left the army. One of them, Nadav, he was the commander of 8200. The other one was one of his deputies, and a third guy, all top talent. They left the army, decided to build a cyber foundry. Foundry meaning that we don't only invest in companies, but we invest and co-found the companies with the entrepreneurs. So this is how it started. Started with cyber and a cyber foundry, not fund. I met them, I think, a year after they started. They were very much at the beginning. I had a cyber event at the bank. And I was introduced to Nadav by my husband because he was a cyber guy. And they came to the bank, and they were unbelievably amazing. Top talent, nice people, salt of the earth, really. And they helped a lot. It was a bad experience for me, all this cyber event, as you can imagine. But they were very helpful, and we stayed friends. And every time I had a tech issue at the bank, I would call them and consult with them. And then when I decided to step down, it was 2019, our idea was, okay, they built an amazing thing in cyber. Why don't we copy paste it into fintech? And this is actually what we did. So in 2020, we started the fintech practice. We had nothing. We had to bring money from investors. I had to bring partners. So I brought with me some fintech founders and others, and we built an amazing team and started building fintech companies just like they did with the cyber. Take it forward a few years. Now, after 10 years that our group is around, we are active in cyber, data, enterprise tech, fintech, and digital health. So we became much more, we became multi-domain group. And we also invest like a regular VC and not only build companies. So this is how we look. Today we have more than $1 billion under management. And we're doing great.
That's amazing. That's a great story. Being a former banker and now sort of on the fintech side of things, I know that you look at the same thing but in a different way. When you shifted from being a banker, leading the largest bank, the largest company in the country, to leading Team8, how did that shift your view on fintech or financial services?
So I always say that I had the privilege to see both sides.
Yeah.
Because when you sit in a bank and you're part of the incumbents and the fintechs come in from the outside, you see the world differently than when you are in the fintech side and you come to the banks to cooperate. So it's totally different.
Yeah.
So first of all, for me, it works well because I don't like to be in my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And at the bank, after 7.5 years at the helm of the bank, quarter after quarter, and the bank became bigger and more successful. And I was like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
So coming from the fintech angle now is the next thing.
Yeah.
So first of all, it gives me the complete story, which is nicer.
Yeah.
More specifically, I can tell you something which will surprise you. When I was a banker and I saw the way we bankers or we banks manage ourselves and serve our customers, I used to say on every stage that we are dinosaurs and we will be disrupted because we are so convoluted and so much backwards. And I didn't believe that we will not be disrupted very soon.
Yeah.
And then I realized that it takes much more time and that banks are very strong, although they're dinosaurs. And the reason is that in financial services, there is this trust thing that makes the customer acquisition cost very costly. So the customers are with the banks. And in order to migrate customers to the fintech, you need to put hundreds of millions of dollars and pay Google and Facebook and others in order to make them move. It doesn't make sense. So what I learned when I moved from being a banker, to the fintech world is that the right strategy is not to try to migrate the customers. The right strategy is to bring the fintech to the customers wherever they are. Meaning that, for example, we have a company called April. April is a company that actually helps US citizens to file their taxes. This is why we call it April. And instead of trying to sell April B2C, like to every citizen in the US or every household, what we do, we sell our products via banks. So what we get is an embedded product where we sell April via fintechs, via banks, via payroll providers. So back to your question, when you analyze the financial system from the bank's perspective, it looks different than when you analyze it from outside. This is what I learned. And I think that the right thing for the financial industry is to use the financial incumbents as hubs that will give more and more financial services to the customers without trying to migrate customer to this app and this app and this app. And personally, running a bank and running a fintech foundry is like nothing like. Nothing like.
That's fascinating. And I think few people have that perspective, I would say.
This is like, but this is what I like. I like changing my career and have different, see the world from different perspectives. So I get smarter and, it's fun.
So I think you have a naturally disruptive outlook on things, I think.
In a way.
And so how do you find what are the traits of the disruptors that you look for for Team8 that you partner with and work with?
First of all, I must say that the most important thing when you build companies is to find the right people. You can pivot, you can go to a different market, you can change the product. but the only thing you cannot change is the people, like the people you work with. And we put a lot of effort to choose the right people. And it's not that we don't make mistakes, we surely do. But the thing is that at the end of the day, what's important is to have these founders with the passion, the ones who are determined, courageous enough, and optimistic.
Yeah.
Because people will not follow you if you won't be optimistic. And the truth is that as a founder, you are hitting the wall a few times a week.
Yep.
That's your life, tough life. So if you are not determined enough and you don't have an optimistic view, it's not going to work. So when we look at them, this is what we are looking for.
Wow. And as far as how you start with that, how do you give them an unfair advantage in terms of hitting the wall? How do you help them overcome these challenges?
Yeah, I think this is the unique thing about Team8, that we don't take investors' money and deploy it to companies. We actually really part of the building process. We are company builders. So if you look at our platform, we have, I think, 80, 90 people. And this group of people, just give them everything. It starts with an office and finance and IT and HR, but it goes far more than that. For example, we have an unfair advantage to talent, especially tech talent, because we have many people come out of these unique units of the Israeli military. So we help them recruit best talent, which is very difficult. We have research groups, IT research, business research. We have go-to-market group. We have marketing. So actually, they come to be part of a house, which gives them all the services. This is very different than a regular VC.
Absolutely. I obviously, like I know many VCs around the world, and one thing that is really I find that Team8 was like absolutely amazing at is like having an ecosystem view, but also having a global view. I mean, how do you think, like, why is that important for the startups that you support?
When we talk about the ecosystem, so part of our philosophy that in order to build a good company, it takes a village. You need a village. And this means that you need to have the right ecosystem around you. First of all, that will challenge your idea, poke holes, tell you, if you build this, so we will not buy it because ABC or whatever. I mean, you need, and we have this very disciplined process where we bring our village, and our village can be a CISO village for a cyber company, or a data village for a data company, or fintech for a fintech company. But the idea is that these people sit in the room. These days, sometimes they are on Zoom, but doesn't matter. And they will listen to the idea. But the first milestone will be to hear the idea. The second milestone will be to hear the solution and the product. And they will ask questions. And at the end of the day, this founder, he's not sitting with himself or he's with co-founder and trying to guess what's going to happen when they try to sell the product, because they are meeting the right people at the right time. So this is like the ecosystem that we bring them. And when you ask about global, we are Israelis, most of us, some of us are Americans, but the thing is that we don't build companies for Israel. We leverage the amazing, unbelievable tech talent in Israel in order to build global companies. Most of our companies are for the US. And anyway, they will always be global. We don't build for Israel because Israel is very, very small.
Yeah. We're sort of getting towards the end of our time, but I wanted to ask you a little bit about your personal leadership and like how that was sort of created. Like just as an example, like I moved around a lot while growing up. So I was constantly the new kid on the block. Always had to prove myself, always had to be like, even though I'm a naturally introverted person, being extroverted and meeting people, and just sort of being approachable. Can you talk a little bit about like what maybe some of your life experiences and how that has shaped your leadership?
It's a question how my life experience shaped my leadership, and I'm not sure that I can connect the dots like you, because my story is like more like simpler. I was born in Israel, and I spent most of my time in Israel. Actually, I was 6 months in the US with a family here in New Jersey. Oh, wow. Went to school in New Jersey, which was an amazing experience. But I don't know if this what shaped my leadership. But my leadership style is very much like my style as a person. I have an authentic leadership. I usually tell my people, my team, just how things are, and we talk very openly. So I remember when I was younger and leadership was like far and people were more, behind closed doors. I think this is not the right way, at least for me. So it's very open, and it doesn't mean that my team will say that I am a very easy leader to work with or whatever. No. But I'm very simple because everything is on the table. What you see is what you get. Very authentic, clear, at least that, but not easy.
But life is complicated as much as it is.
Exactly.
So if you can simplify it.
Exactly. You see, you said it much better than me. Exactly. And I always tell them when we tackle a problem and we say, well, we can do A or B or C, and I said to them, what about saying the truth? Like, I think that I learned that most of the time, it's the best way to solve the problem. So let's address the problem and tell them, our clients, our partners, whatever, why this is not working. Just the truth.
Yes.
And I learned this is the best option. And usually it is. Yeah. So
no, I absolutely agree
why?
with that.
Why make it complicated
Absolutely.
if you can just simplify it? Yeah.
Well, so not to add more complexity, but looking towards the next year, like what are you excited about for fintech or
Since LLMs became part of our life, I became very excited about the high-tech sector, generally speaking, and specifically about fintech, because I think it can change a lot of domains around in many places, and specifically for me, I'm very excited about what will happen to the credit services, to the credit world with LLMs. And the reason that I'm excited about credit is that I was the chief credit officer of the bank for many years, including in 2008. And I know it sounds a bit geeky, but credit excites me. And let's face it, credit runs part of our economy. This is the heart of the financial system. And when I think about credit with LLMs, I believe it will look totally different. Because at the end of the day, if, credit is about risk. And if you run credit better, and LLMs will run it better, because we will have co-pilots who will know everything, the policy, the instructions, the guidelines, the credit appetite. So we will have less mistakes. And when we have less mistakes, we will have less credit losses. And then we will be able to reduce the price and interest rates will go down. Think about LLMs taking interest rate down. Like, wow, what's the connection? Yes, there is a connection. So for me, with LLMs, we can change the financial system dramatically in many spaces.
No, obviously credit is, I think, the heart of most bank P&Ls. I'd say it's
Yeah.
and I think that's like just sort of riffing a little bit, thinking about the current way of credit versus the way it could go. Like I think about like music, and thinking about like you buy a CD versus like you have a stream, and like that stream can adapt with every single time. Like are there any analogies or any other?
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is exactly what's going to happen to credit.
Yeah.
Because, when I was at the bank, we were running the credit portfolio. It was years of discussions and consultations. And, I always say it's blood and tears and toil and sweat, whatever.
Yeah.
Just very, very demanding processes.
Yeah.
Time-wise, money-wise, resource-wise. And suddenly we will have this bot that has all this unstructured data within it. So you, as a credit analyst, will not have to know anything because you will have this credit copilot next to you. So this is exactly like your music thing, that everything is being updated and is accurate and is right there whenever you want it. But with credit, it will change the whole processes.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's just the same.
It's
unbelievable.
I agree. We'll be having very different conversations
In a few years.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Rakefet, thank you so much. Really,
Thank you.
As always, I enjoy talking to you so much, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.